A couple of days ago, we did a segment on does Baker Mayfield make the Seattle Seahawks a playoff team? Now we're doing a segment on does Baker Mayfield make the Carolina Panthers a playoff team? And the answer is hell yeah. You see, the reason why I think that Baker Mayfield has a better chance of making it to the playoffs with Carolina compared to his chances with Seattle is because Carolina has a way better offensive line than the Seattle Seahawks, okay? You have Akem Ikwanu at left tackle, Taylor Morton at right tackle, so you already have a better offensive tackle situation than Seattle. Plus, you have Bradley Bozeman, who's coming off the best season of his career last year. You also signed former Rams offensive lineman Austin Corbett. It looks like he's either going to be playing right guard for you this year. So Carolina's offensive line is really, really solid. Plus, you have a really good group of wide receivers. You got DJ Moore, probably the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL. You got Robbie Anderson, which Robbie Anderson, a lot of Panthers fans kind of have a love-hate relationship with him, but Robbie Anderson is a really good deep threat. And he got held back by poor quarterback play last season. So with Baker Mayfield, somebody who has a really strong arm, somebody who throws the deep ball pretty accurately more times than not, I think that him and Robbie Anderson should be able to have a really good connection. You also have Rashard Higgins, Terrence Marshall. So the wide receiver position is pretty good. Then we already know what Chris McCaffrey is able to do when he's able to stay healthy. And then you have Chuba Hubbard backing him up. So I think for Carolina, if you get Baker Mayfield, I think that the ceiling is 10 wins. And I was looking at their schedule and I was going game by game. And I had Carolina at 9-8 or 10-7. And their schedule, honestly, isn't really all that tough because think about it. Think about the Panthers starting Sam Darnold. And look at some of these games. You're probably going to say they have no chance, JT. They have no way in hell of being able to compete for a playoff spot. Now, swap him out with Baker Mayfield. A lot of these games look incredibly winnable. You have Cleveland at the start of the year. It looks like most likely they're not going to have Deshaun Watson regardless of if he gets suspended indefinitely or if he gets suspended for half the season. You don't have to worry about him. Then you have to play the New York Giants. That definitely is a winnable game there. So you could go 2-0 to start the season if you have Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Then you play New Orleans. I think with Baker, you should be able to split with New Orleans. New Orleans does have a really good defense, but you're going to have a really good offensive line that's going to be able to neutralize that defensive line and slow down that pass rush. And you're going to have a quarterback now that's going to be a little bit better when it comes to handling Dennis Allen's defense. You also get to play Arizona, San Francisco, the 49ers, Tampa. I think with Baker and the supporting cast that he has around him, you're going to be pretty solid during that stretch. And that's probably going to be the toughest stretch of your season. Then you play Atlanta twice. Cincinnati, you should be able to beat the Falcons both times. They're not going to be that good this year. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. So overall, when you look at this schedule, with Baker Mayfield, the Carolina Panthers could be a really solid football team. And for Matt Rule, they missed on quarterback the last couple of seasons. His first season, he got there. You had Teddy Bridgewater. Didn't really work out. Then you trade for Sam Darnold, and we saw how much of a disaster Sam Darnold was last season. So Carolina really is a quarterback away from making it to the playoffs. If they can get this quarterback situation taken care of, this is a playoff football team. Their defense is young, really underrated. You got Jeremy Chin, Brian Burns, really good defense, incredibly underrated. So you can help out that defense by improving the quarterback position, because then a lot of people don't think about this, but when your offense continues to go 3 and out and your defense is on the field for a lot of plays, they get tired more easily, what makes it a little bit harder for them to keep the offenses from scoring on them. So if you get Baker Mayfield is really good when you give him a good supporting cast. Okay, I call him the taxi driver. You give him the keys to the Bentley, and you make sure that the engine's running, and you don't need an oil change, and you make sure that you got some gas in the tank. Baker Mayfield can get you to where you need to go. And I'm kind of a little bit irritated at all of the criticism that Baker Mayfield has received over this offseason, because you have people questioning his leadership abilities. You have people calling him trash. But it's funny because a year ago, people were praising Baker Mayfield because he led the Browns to the playoffs for the first time since 2002. Everybody was riding his coattails. And now all of a sudden, he comes off a injury-riddled season, which the Cleveland Browns severely mismanaged. I don't know why they would have him playing with a messed up shoulder, but hey, it makes no sense to me. But for Baker Mayfield, I think that he is somebody that if you're Carolina, you trade for him, he is going to galvanize your locker room. He's going to bring a urgency to him, which is something that Carolina definitely needs, especially Matt Rule, considering the fact that his job security could be on the line. So you bring in Baker Mayfield, he balls out for you, and then you have a question of should you extend him and how much is he worth? Well, if Baker Mayfield gets the Carolina Panthers to the playoffs this season, if you trade for him, I think the answer is pretty doggone obvious. You sign him as long as you don't overpay for him. And here's the thing. Carolina shouldn't overpay for Baker Mayfield because they should look at the market and they should probably say, okay, Baker Mayfield, you had a really good season. We think that you're worth between $25 and $27 million a year. And I know for a lot of Panthers fans, that number is going to sound a little bit high, but compared to the rest of the quarterback market, that's nothing. Okay, so for Baker Mayfield, I think him going to Carolina is the best situation for him. Yes, Seattle does have a better group of wide receivers than Carolina, but if you're looking at the complete overall package, Carolina has a better offensive line and a really good group of wide receivers. Okay, DJ Moore is incredibly underrated, and Robbie Anderson is one of the best deep threats that we have in the NFL. So I'm rooting for Baker Mayfield to get traded to the Carolina Panthers. As a Steelers fan, I know what Baker Mayfield brings to the table. I know what a healthy Baker Mayfield is able to do. And it's really funny on how quick people have just flipped the switch on Baker Mayfield. It's really funny, but that just goes to show you how the world is. When you're on top, everybody's on your dick. But when you're on the bottom, nobody's there to help you back up. So if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, I know you may not be incredibly thrilled about the aspect of trading for Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield is a baller. He's somebody who comes in with a chip on his shoulder. This was somebody who was, a two-time walk-on? You don't become a two-time walk-on to a Heisman Trophy winner to a first overall pick in the NFL draft without having dedication and a really high worth ethic. So the fact that people are questioning Baker Mayfield's character really blows me. And the thing with him and Odell Beckham wasn't the fact that they didn't get along. They didn't really have any beefs in the locker room or any confrontations that we know about. All that the issue was that Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham just couldn't make it click when they was on the field together. And the thing with Odell Beckham's dad was that he uploaded a montage of Baker Mayfield overthrowing Odell Beckham, not really as a slight against Baker Mayfield, but really to combat the media, because a lot of people think that Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham just couldn't make things work and him and Odell didn't get along, but that wasn't really the case. The reason why OBJ's dad posted that montage of Baker Mayfield overthrowing Odell Beckham was because the national media kept bashing Odell Beckham for all of the Cleveland Browns' flaws. Every time the Browns lost, it was OBJ's fault, and his dad got tired of it. So I don't really view that more as a slight against Baker Mayfield. I view it as a response to the media's criticism about OBJ being the cancer in the Browns locker room. And we saw what happened when OBJ went to the Rams. The Rams ended up winning the Super Bowl, and the Browns ended up missing out on the playoffs. So I think that Baker Mayfield just needs a restart. I think that he is a very solid quarterback. I think that he is a average to above average quarterback when you give him a good supporting cast around him. And I definitely think that he's more than capable of being able to carry a team or lead a team to the playoffs with the current situation that the Carolina Panthers have. I think it's just a match made in heaven. So let me know what you Panthers fans think about Baker Mayfield. Should the Panthers trade for Baker Mayfield? Because listen, honestly, if I had to choose between Jimmy Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield, I would choose Baker Mayfield. Give me the guy who's tough, who's able to play through injuries and stay healthy versus Jimmy G, somebody who you can never depend on to stay healthy for a whole entire 17-game season. And plus, somebody who isn't great when it comes to throwing the ball under duress. Give me Baker Mayfield over Jimmy G any day.